everyone, this is Christy for MyScrapbookEvolution.com, and this is the first of 3 videos that are all creating one project, this hybrid art journal page. Now I am currently on the creative team for O-Scraps, so I'll be using a digital kit from them. I'll share that with you in just a moment. Be sure to look for the links for the other 2 videos in this series. Before we get started with our hybrid art journal page, let's take a look at the supplies we'll be using. This is the digital kit I chose. It's called Begin Again by Angie Young Designs. If you would like this kit, you can find it at the digital store at O-Scraps. I've gone ahead and opened up my Silhouette Design Studio software. I have the smaller Silhouette, the Portrait, which happens to be an 8.5 by 11 inch letter size paper. If you have the larger Silhouette, you want to make sure you've selected the 8.5 by 11 size space to work in. I do want to turn on my registration marks before I start working. So you just go over here to where it says open the registration marks window. That's in the upper right hand corner. At style, you're going to select the type, and I've automatically selected the portrait size. You can see right here are the registration marks, and those are what the Silhouette will read after you print it, so that it will cut. And any items you place are going to have to be inside this red rectangle. Now I've already opened up my files, and I'm going to be putting things on a couple of different sheets like this. So let me go ahead and open a couple, actually that's the wrong thing, open a couple of these and make sure my registration marks are on, because I will need a couple of these sheets to print everything I'm going to use on my art journal page today. So now that I have these open, I just open the file with the elements that I want to print. And the first thing I see are these flowers, so I'm just going to drag them into the software, and I'll resize them here. A lot of times the Silhouette will put them in around 3 to 6 inches, which is really big, and unless you want them that big, you can just simply resize them by dragging on these little squares. I like to make my flowers a little smaller. Sometimes I end up using them on scrapbook pages if I have extras. So I've got a couple like this. Let me copy those, and I'll paste them because I want a couple of extras. I like to work with my flowers in uneven numbers. I'm going to paste again, and I'm just resizing them, a couple different odd sizes. Actually, because I have 2, I'll have even numbers, but that's okay. One will be extra for a scrapbook page. So I've got the flowers that I want to use. I kind of like this word art, so I'm going to put that in here. I also like the doily, but the doily is larger, so let's put it on a new sheet here. Let's go ahead and put that there, and let's place it. It's at 7 inches. You can see 7 by 7. Let's make it just a little bit smaller. I'll actually make a 3-inch doily, and I think I want to make more than one. I'll definitely have 3 of these. And again, keeping them inside that red rectangle. Let's see what else I want to use. I think there's nothing else on this particular sheet. Let's look here. I like these ladies, and I like the button. Now, you can look for flat elements, but if you use certain items like glossy accents, you can make items that should be dimensional again, and I'll show you how to do that when I make the art journal page. I'm going to select a couple of buttons just to show you how I'm going to do that. Let's just reduce that down. And the buttons are a little bit bigger than I think I want, so I'm just going to make them smaller. That one's already a good size. Let's copy the buttons and add just a couple more here. I'm also going to be using some of these elements on a scrapbook page, so if I have extra, it's really okay. I also like these ladies and the tags right here, but this one's kind of full, so let's go ahead and we'll just drag those in. Sometimes when you drag multiple, though, it doesn't go in the way you want it to. So I'm just going to reduce her size down a little bit, and I'll go back in and I'll select individually. Let's go ahead and place them. Make those ladies about the same size. If you want to leave these items big, you can. It's just completely up to you. Whatever size you want to fit in here, you can fill the whole thing. Just make sure there's not stuff within that registration mark zone. Otherwise, it will print, but it will not cut properly. Anything outside that red zone just will not cut. I'm actually not sure if I'm going to use that one. This is where you start kind of playing around with where will everything fit, and you can get everything in pretty tight. There we go. Let's see, this one's kind of full. Let's see what else I wanted to. Let's take a look in here. Now, some kits will have staples and they'll have paper clips. I don't ever print those. You can, but I just find it easier to use real items, and I just make a note that the kit had staples, the kit had paper clips in it. You can also print and cut items as small as sequins. I've done it before just to see if I could do it. It will work, but there's something to be said about using actual, real, physical product mixed in with the paper to get the more dimensional look. There's also some cute tags. I'm going to save those. And let's see, I want some of these elements here. But I think I'm going to put them on this first page where I have more room. I want this, and I want a couple of these butterflies, and I think I want an arrow. So let's just start moving them around and making them a little smaller. I think that's everything from this kit that I want for the art journal page. Actually, I might use, there's this one, and there's a couple of these circles. Although I may have to create, it looks like I have too many, so I'm going to create a new page for these guys. Come over here to File, click New, and turn on the registration marks. And now I can drag those in. Now, what happened here, sometimes if you drag it in over the top of another element, it takes on the size. So that was those little birds that were in the kit, and it just grabbed the size for those. Okay, so I've got the elements, and I'm just going to add back in the ones that I took away. Let me arrange these on here so I don't have the same mistake happen again, where the other element just kind of adds itself. So I've got those two, and I'm missing this one. Obviously those are a little bigger than I want, so I'm going to just make them about the same size. If you needed to, you can turn a grid on and off to help you measure and get an eye for how everything's going to fit. I'm going to make some more of these. I'm just going to arrange them so that I can get as many as possible onto the page. There we go. I think that's probably enough of those. Now I need to trace them. So you're going to come up here to the right hand upper corner and open your trace window. You select trace area and you just highlight the area you want to cut. It will have this rough outline here. That's not enough for me to get a good trace. So I need to start playing with the filters. I uncheck high pass filter, check the low pass filter, and then I just fill it until I can get the outer edges. And I want to select trace outer edge, and then I'll move one to see, did that cut it enough? This one's going to cut it okay. I'm just going to click back. I want to try to get this one a little bit better, so I'm going to play a little bit with the slider scale here. And you just play with these little sliders, the value, the threshold, and the scale here on the lower right box, until you get a relatively good outer edge. You can cut the inner edges as well, but I'm printing them. It's not like a regular cut file. So I just want to click the trace the outer edge option. And you'll see now I've got a little bit better of a cut image. Now I want to make sure to click the back button so those snap back in place, because when I print this, it's going to cut where it finds everything in the registration marks. This one might be a little close to the edge, and I might end up having to help it out a little bit with scissors after the fact. So when you're ready, you're going to come up here to File, and you'll select Print, and you'll send it to your printer. Now with something like the doilies, you can still trace it, and you can actually trace it in such a way that you can have your silhouette cut out all those tiny little holes. The only issue with this is that you're going to have a lot of weeding to do after if all the little bits don't fall away. But I do like my doilies to have that extra look. You know, I want to be able to see the background through. So you can see it's kind of lit everything up here, including highlighting the holes. So let's just select this trace option, the first one. And when I take it away, you'll see that it cuts everything down to those little details. So sometimes you don't need to unclick that high pass filter, and you've even cut down the buttonholes. Now this is cutting a little bit too much, so actually I do want to play with the filters a little bit. So let's undo that trace area. Now again, you have the select trace area right here, and then you can just draw your square over the top, uncheck the high pass filter, and let's fill out that item. So you want to try to fill it out as much as possible. This actually looks pretty good. You can see the little holes for the buttons. You can see all of the little holes for the doily. And if I select the first or top trace option, we'll see that I get everything in much nicer detail than I had before. So I'm just going to click back. And now I'm actually ready to print. So you just select File and you select Print. When you print, you can print on a variety of different options. You can use cardstock or regular printer paper. It depends on what you're going to want to do. Cardstock will absorb some of the ink, so the color might not be as vibrant as you want. I like to buy 8.5 by 11 size presentation paper in a matte format, and that keeps all of the color that you're seeing right here on the screen. So we're just going to tell the printer that I'm using the matte paper, and you can say matte photo paper. It's not giving me the option of matte presentation paper on this one, so I'll just select matte photo paper, and that way it's going to give a good quality. You can select higher quality if you like. Since this is going to be mostly for art journal, I'm going to leave it as standard. Because I'm going to be using wet mediums, you'll lose some of that color anyway. If this was purely for scrapbooking, I would go ahead and select high quality. And the nice thing too about the matte presentation paper, or if you want to use matte photo paper, that's another option. The nice thing about those is that they are often acid free, depending on what you buy, and that way you can make sure that you're not going to lose the color quality with it fading over time. So I've told it what I want, and I'm just going to select OK and click print. And in just a moment it will print this item, and all I'll have to do is place it on the mat and tell the Silhouette to cut it. Once I load it in, all I'll have to do is click Silhouette and click Send to Silhouette. Right now it's printing, so it's not allowing me that option. Also, I don't have my Silhouette plugged in. But that's all you do, is you click Send to Silhouette and it'll pop everything open. Don't forget, there are 2 more videos in this series. You'll find the links to those in the notes for this video. You'll also want to hop over to the O Scraps blog to check out the complete article.